Exception can be defined as an abnormal event which basically occurs during the program execution. And exception normally disrupts the normal flow of instructions. And the exceptions are always caused because of two types of generation of errors. Those are compilation time error and a runtime error. A compilation time error occurs when we do not follow the syntax of the program properly. Means I missed semicolon, or I would have given the wrong declaration, or I would have forgotten to include the header file. All those things comes under the category called as compilation time error. Similarly, I have one more type of an error which will be generated, that's called as a runtime error. And the runtime errors occurs during the execution of a program. So here the runtime error are those which will be generated if a programmer has done some mistake with logic or semantics of the code. So now the various aspects which relates to an abnormal conditions or an unexpected conditions which can occur during the time of program execution are running out of memory, or the resource allocation problem, or the inability to find the files, or the problems which relates to the network connectivity, and so on. Moving further with this type of situations which we are getting, an exception handling is basically managed by four important keywords. Those keywords are try, catch, throw, throws, finally. Now, the exception handling, if it has to be adapted, it follows the majority of a syntax, which I call it as inside a try block, there is an insertion of a code. I have a catch block where I have an insertion of the code. Similarly, I have a finally block where I see the insertion of the code. Now, inside a try block, what we may see or what we may perceive is the block which may produce an exception. I call it as a try block. If there are no exception which occurs, it will be entering into the finally block. Else, it will look for a appropriate matching to handle an error. Again, now the matching of a catch handler is not found with an exception, and this basically proceeds with a finally block with a default exception handler throwing an exception. A catch block. What it does inside a catch block was also explained. Whenever the exceptions are thrown during the execution of the try block, it should be handled safely, or it should be caught with a proper place, and that placeholder I call it as a catch block. And lastly, we have a finally block, and it is a guarantee through which the program gets executed, and this will always be seen with a finally block, regardless of the case of an exit from the try block. Now, let us just understand what's the role of this finally block. How does it initiates, or it will give one programmer the flexibility. Basically, the finally block is used for freeing up of some of the resources, for cleaning up of the data, closing the connections, and so on. So now when you are observing from this program, which was discussed with yesterday's class yet again, what I have is I have an import package by the name called as import java.io.star. This line of statement tells the compiler to include or to insert the package by the name called as input and output. I have a class by the name called as accept test. And this is my main class. So I would have saved the file by the name called as except test. And what I have inside this except test is I begin the program. I insert the try and catch block. Inside the try block, I've created or I have inserted the array declaration, which is capable of storing two value. I am trying to have an accessibility done for the third value, which is undeclared. And this type of error, I call it as an error which will have the semantic problem. This program is having syntactically free from errors, but it's having a problem with semantic, which is a logic. If I have created an array with two, which is capable of storing two value, then how could I display the array which gets the display of three? If I have a mistake of this kind, then it should be prompted to the user with an appropriate message. And that appropriate message display is being captured with a block called as catch. And inside this catch block, I have array index out of bound exception, and this is being created with an object called as E. And I have an opening and a closing bracket where the exceptions are thrown, and finally I am out of the block. Moving further, what I have here as an output is the output will be shown as java.lang.arrayIndex out of bounds exception with a value 3. Now I have the multiple catch blocks, which is one among the common utilization which could be observed. You can see here the try block can be followed by the multiple catch blocks, and the syntax through how I can adapt this catch block looks like this. It's having a catch, open and a closing bracket. I have a catch, multiple catches, which is defined with its respective exceptions. And now the example which relates to it is just taken here to show the divide by zero error and array index out of bound condition. You can just note here, I am writing the logic of the program inside the try. What's the logic it is saying is, whatever I enter during the time of runtime, that will be captured with an argument length. Let me say I haven't given any argument during the execution. So A is 0. Now I display the value of A through the message stating system.out.println. I'm just giving A. Now observe, I have given B. B is equivalent to 50 divided by A. A is having an argument length as 0. 50 by 0, it will give me an evaluation as infinity. And this infinity has to be projected to the programmer. So that action I write with a catch block. So you can observe there the type of an exception which is captured there is an arithmetic exception. I create an object called as E. So now I have an opening and a closing bracket, which gives me the display as a division by zero error. I have a catch where I make a call to the program and I create an object. So I have here array index out of bound and I'm closing the appropriate brackets. Now we see the nested try statements, something just like what we had followed with the multiple catch blocks. So now you just observe in this program, as we saw the multiple catch, we can have an opportunity of creating even multiple try block. So observe here, I create a class by the name called as nested try, and I am having here the begin of a program which I call it as public static void main. I create an string argument. Then I have a try, the first try where I'm converting the A and B value to be obtained by the command line. probably I say the argument 0 is going to be converted into an integer format, because we know the args is defined by the main function to be of data type string. Now, whatever I enter during the time of execution, it will be treated as string, and now it is up to the programmer to convert it into an appropriate data type. So I give there integer a is equivalent to integer dot parse int. What we mean by this integer dot parse int is it's a conversion, and this type of conversion is stored with a special classes called as wrapper classes. I repeat, there are classes by the name called as wrapper classes, which will allow the programmer to do the necessary conversions. So you can note string args, I repeat again, string args is of type character. Now this data, what I'm receiving during execution time, needs to be converted into an integer data type stored with a variable a and b. And this data conversion is carried out by integer dot parseInt class. Now I have defined one more parameter, which I call it as quotient, and QUOT is initialized with the value 0. Inside the next nested try block, I define an action. I give here quotient is equivalent to A divided by B. Now the quotient gets displayed. So what's the value for A? What's the value for B? Could be defined when I'm executing the program. Assume during the time of execution, I have given the values as 2, 4, 2 and 4 and 6. So what we understand here is the value of argument 0 will be stored with the first value. The argument 1 will be stored with the second value. And now, if an argument contains the string rather than a number, as I quoted, I need to have the appropriate messages displayed. You can note here the first value is not 2, it is just given with a blank. So I consider here 24 as a first value, which is argument 0. Argument 1 is treated with a second value, which is 6. Now I try to have one A. A value is 24, B value is 6. 6 divided by 24, I get a value which is nothing but a quotient. Now you can ask me a question. I didn't get anything which is caught by the appropriate catches. If the programmer is doing a mistake with respect to the passing of a value, only at that point of time, I will be getting a message called as divide by 0, incorrect argument type. To make you people still more understand in a better way, let me just ask you a question here. When I am executing the code, I will give a first value as 5. I give a second value as 0. Can you just tell me what gets executed? Can anyone just take up this role and tell me what gets executed? A I have taken as 5 and B I have taken as 0.
Arithmetic exception.
No, what is I am expecting only answer. You're correct, but I want you to tell what's an output.
Divide by 0.
Okay, the answer is right. So I get an answer there as divide by 0. Now the second run I will give you. I have taken the first argument of 0 as C, the character C, and I have considered the second argument there as 5.
Incorrect argument type.
Would I pass C as first argument, 5 as second argument? Someone is giving answer, quick.
Incorrect argument type.
Okay, I will be getting an output there as incorrect argument type. What we are deriving from the simplest explanation of the program is this catch block always helps the programmer to identify the type of error which may happen during my execution time and where I should go back and correct my errors. And that's a safe place through which I can always get back to the program rather than wasting the time in looking throughout the program, checking for an error, where did I do mistake. If I have been alerted with the statement something like incorrect argument type, then I will only check with those declaration where the conversion is done, where I need to do the modification. And that will save the time of programming. And that's the real benefit which you observe with exception handling. All of you have followed, right? These are the instances which you can see. Or any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Confirmation. Do you people have doubts? Shall I move with the next keyword? Sadiksha? Srinidhi? If you don't reply, it's marked absent. And I'll be considering it's an inactive, joining of you people. At least you should confirm through the chat box or you have to converse. Srinidhi?
Understood.
Okay, fine. I have a next keyword that's called as a throw keyword. And what we observe from the throw keyword is it's used to throw an exception explicitly. Here, what is that word? I call it as an explicit is having a very large meaning. In our previous examples, we observe the programmer is given with their own defined values, and I'm only referring to those particular classes, and I try to invoke appropriate argument. Something just like I get back. I haven't written any code for arithmetic exception. I haven't written any code for number format exception. It's been defined by the language, and we call this type as defined types, which is provided by the programmers. And now there is a question. I am a user. I wanted to write an user defined exception. I am a programmer. I need to define my set of conditions. I need to define my own exception type. Can I have that flexibility? That's a question what the programmers will be asking. To address that, we have a concept called as throw keyword. So here, throw keyword is used to throw an exception explicitly. Means only object of that belonging class or a subclass can be thrown. And the program execution generally stops on checking with a throw statement, and the closest catch statement is checked for matching type of exception. How do I write this throw instance is my next question. To answer that, I create a keyword called as throw, and I have a throwable instance. Now, creating an instance of a throwable class, there are two possible ways to get an instance of the class. That's throwable And also we see like it's an keyword through which I pass the parameter with a catch block. I create an instance with the help of a new operator. So now I give the syntax for creating a new operator. So I make use of new, follow that with a type of exception. Assume the type of an exception which I am using here is null pointer exception. I pass what needs to be defined, that's a test. And this basically constructs an instance of a null pointer exception with a name called as test. Let us just understand clearly. Here you can observe I define a class by the name called as test, where I define one static method by the name called as AVG, which is going to give an average calculation. Now inside this AVG function, I am associating the try and catch. And inside the try block, I am throwing an arithmetic exception by the name called as demo. And I make use of a catch block where I am catching the arithmetic exception. I define an answer there as exception is caught. I close necessarily this catch block. I also make a closing for this function AVG. I have public static void main, and inside this main method, I'm making a call for average function. Now you can observe the average method throws an instance of arithmetic exception which could be successfully handled using the catch statement. When I am executing the program, I make a call to the AVG method, and inside an AVG method, I write these two actions. Now, can you just predict what's going to be the output for this code? I'm only making a call to the AVG. What is going to be the output? Am I getting demo or am I getting exception caught? Or am I getting a compilation time error? Quickly identify what may be the possible output for this program. Who can just give an answer here? I think I got some, no, the reply is not got. Oh, as usual, I'll pick the students. Shweta is predict the output, ma. Shweta.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you just tell what's going to be the output, ma?
Ma'am, exception code.
Okay, fine. That's an answer which I was just looking across. So, like when I am just trying to get an execution done, I'll be getting their exception code. So, what is that conclusion I can get it from this example? What's an observation which we make from throws? What's a common observation, ma? Okay, I just repeat it here. The inclusion of the keyword called as throw, it's going to have a definition done with respect to the explicit call being done with the program. And the throw being one among the important clause, or I can call it as a keyword, associate with its functionality, the actual concept called as exception handling. Now, lastly, there are certain instances where the programmer needs to actually follow the creation for an user-defined exceptions. Best example which I can relate is maybe if I am making use of I am trying to use a package, assume like I'm importing a package called as math. You may have seen this math functionality with your C and C++ language also. If I'm including the header file by the name called as math.h in a C language, it's going to have an insertion of all those mathematical related functionalities described by the language. Probably it will help me out to calculate the trigonometric functions like sine, cost, and all. And also it will give me the computation for the basic sum, average, or it could be even for converting the integer format and so on. There are a lot of benefits what these mathematical functions are providing. That making use of these mathematical functions, I can easily write a program to compute the particular average of a number, or compute the square of a number. I never give or I never write my own user defined action there. It's been borrowed or it's been inherited from the programming, and that's the necessity through which I'll be acting upon. Now, the same type, a type of operation like computing the square of a particular number, if I, as a programmer, I need to define it, what I do is I write a return type, I give a name for a program, then I pass the necessary arguments, then I am trying to have an inclusion of a particular logic. Something like I define the variable called as A. This variable A should be given with a scope called as A into A if I am trying to compute the square of a particular number. And now the user defined function, which is almost similar to that of a built-in function, should be compared. When I'm comparing it, I see the benefits with the actual header file inclusion, where I don't do anything. I'm just invoking what someone has already done. The action or an activity which I carry out more, and the content which I am trying to modify with my understanding goes high when I am writing my own user defined function, which is almost critical, and it is almost impossible if I am not having a better understanding towards the problem statement. And that's the tough part what the programmers will be facing. Exactly in the similar way, if I have to write my own user defined exception, I have to give an action to those own user defined exception which has been written. I have to have a necessary catch block which will be inserted by the program. Tell me what exactly I need to bridge. Then I will have to have the conditions being written inside the program block with an appropriate initialization. I see the keyword with the aspect called as throw, and generally the questions will be asked like write explanatory note on these kind of keywords like try, catch, throw, and throwable class, the finalizer, and so on. So whatever the question it is asked, we should be in a position to give an explanation. So I just continue the same aspect of, can I just have the role of exception handling when I'm just having techniques called as a constructor, or I am trying to define it with a static keyword, or I'm trying to have an overloading concept where I just have done some mistake with my declarations, have done some mistakes with the actual name of the function not matching with the class name. Like that, I can define its action with respect to the exception. And the real benefit of exception lies with the fact called as declaring the user-defined formats. So as you are observing on the screen, we have the inheritance, we have the types of inheritance. I'm trying to extend the base class which is defined by me. These are some of the things which requires the usage or the patterns to be adapted to the user-defined exception handlers. So to address or to just define in brief, the user-defined exceptions are those types of exceptions what has the keywords called as throw, the throwable, and also we have the abilities to just modify or correct the logic which is present in my code. So let's just explore further. We were just halted with the prediction of an output. Just observe this example program. Just a minute. You can observe this example program which is required with the demonstration. Someone gave me the answer there as I will get a message stating as exception caught, and this exception caught will be defined by the class name called as demo, and this demo is being referred to this built-in method which I'm calling it as an arithmetic exception. I repeat again, the usage of throw is going to have a naming convention which we are giving to the particular catch block with an appropriate type of an exception. And this will be successfully handled by the type. So now I can just tell in one line, demo is being handled by arithmetic exception. I have the keyword called as throws. What's the difference between throw and throws is very important question. The throw keyword is giving an actionable statement, whereas the throws keyword is capable of causing the exception, which will list out all those types of exceptions possibly occurring during its execution. So I can tell the method gets a prior knowledge about which exceptions to be handled and what needs to be carried out with those exception formats. Now, a method can also be called using the throws keyword. How do I use it with respect to the syntax is defined here. You can observe I have a data type, followed by the data type, I give a name for a method, I create a parameter which will throw an exception list. Now, inside this exception list, I create a class which will make a call to the finally clause as well. Just to understand it, I've just taken a simple example by the name called as class test. You can observe there is a method called as check, and this check method is a static method which throws an arithmetic exception, and here I am having a display statement called as inside check function, which in turn throws a new arithmetic exception by the name called as demo. Now I have a main which is seen with respect to the try and catch block. And inside this try block, I make a call to the check. I have a catch which is being caught by the arithmetic exception, and it's been described with an action called as key. And now I have the finally clause which could be incorporated with this throws block, and it can also be interfaced with the throw. It could be interfaced even with the normal try and catch block. It could be interfaced with the nested format as well. So let us just understand these type of insertions, what I generally do with the programming in the next class. Stay connected. I'll take the attendance. Karthik,
Present, ma'am.
if you don't answer, no, it's marked absent. Karthik,
Present, ma'am.
Dhanush, Rachita, Dadapi,
Present, ma'am.
Rakesh,
Present, ma'am.
Rashmi,
Yes, ma'am.
Ravichandra, Himabindu,
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Nikita, Dhananjay, Preetam,
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita,
Present, ma'am.
Parth, Sadiksha,
Present, ma'am.
Sagarika,
Present, ma'am.
Sahana,
Present.
Samya, Sandeep,
Yes, ma'am.
Sandhya,
Present, ma'am.
Chandana,
Present, ma'am.
Yuvraj, Shobit,
Present, ma'am.
Surjot,
ma'am.
Shweta,
Present, ma'am.
Julfika,
Present, ma'am.
Saumik,
Yes, ma'am.
Shriti, Sri Shailam,
Present, ma'am.
Shrushti,
Present, ma'am.
Kar,
Present, ma'am.
Sudhir,
Present, ma'am.
Johan, Sumit.
Yes, ma'am.
ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಒಂದ್ 2 ನಿಮಿಷ ರೀ, ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಇದು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೀನಿ. ಸುಶ್ರವ್ಯ,
Present, ma'am.
ಸ್ವಾತಿ,
Present, ma'am.
ಶ್ವೇತಾ,
Present, ma'am.
ತನುಶ್ರೀ KR,
Present, ma'am.
ತರುಣ್, ಆಕಾಂಕ್ಷ, ಪ್ರಣೀತ್,
Yes, ma'am.
ತೃಪ್ತಿ, ಗಣೇಶ್,
Present,
Yes, ma'am.
ವನ್ಯ, ವರಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ,
ma'am. Present, ma'am.
ವರ್ಷ,
Present, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
ವೇಣು,
Present,
ವಿಜಯ ರಕ್ಷಿತ್, ವಿಖ್ಯಾತ್, ವಿಕಾಸ್, ವಿವೇಕ್, ಯಶಸ್,
Present, ma'am.
ಯಶಸ್ ಆರ್,
Present, ma'am.
ಯಶಸ್ವಿನಿ.
ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Okay, Pa. Thank you all. You can just leave the session.
Ma'am, Suhas present, ma'am. I have 7 network issues.
Okay, Pa. Fine. It's anyways, it's downloaded.